But yeah.
Oh, shit.
I'm Tommy Salmons. This is Year Zero. This week, I have brand new published author of Project Manticore, Ryan Bunting. What's going on, Ryan?
Not too much. Same old, same old. Just getting ready to move on Monday. So everything's all crazy right now. My house looks like a fucking storage warehouse. But other than that, everything's good.
And your new house will look like a storage warehouse for the next 6 months. So
Probably, yep.
yeah, well, yeah. Those getting all that shit. Beatrix and I still haven't gotten our entire house totally situated, and we've been there for 4 years. So it happens. So
It's the nature of the beast.
ain't it?
You're like, God, where did all this shit come from? When did I buy this?
Well, sometimes you find some gems too. You're like, oh fuck, I forgot about this.
Yep.
Where are you moving to? You want to disclose that?
Yeah, I'm moving to Delaware. I'm finally getting out of New Jersey. I'll still be able to commute to work and all that, but better gun laws, better tax rates, about 1/10 of the population, which is a huge bonus. So it'll be nice. A little quieter, a little more private.
Yeah, I was just telling somebody the other day, like, being a truck driver, I love driving up in the Northeast in the fall. And Delaware is always one of my favorite states to drive through. It's so small. We never delivered there, but I drove through a few times. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really pretty up there. I really like it. So, but man, you know why I quit doing that though? You know what they did to me is they would wait until fucking November, and then they would send me from Chicago to upstate New York, and the route you take, you have to go through Erie, Pennsylvania, up 90.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, and it was brutal driving. You're going like 10 miles an hour. The roads are frozen. You can't see anything. Whiteout conditions. You can't exit because you got snowbank 6 foot up. You're like, man, this is fucking shit. I ain't doing this no more. So.
Yeah, my brother's in the mountains of Pennsylvania, and it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, well, and you're right there on the coast too. Going up 90, you're right on the coast of Lake Erie. Mm-hmm. So you're getting all of that moisture coming off the lake, and it's frozen. Mm-hmm. It's just nasty. I hated it. I always dreaded the winters up there.
Yeah, they're not fun.
Pretty disgusting. I don't see how. I always say that people didn't choose to live there; they were sentenced, like paying penance for the sins of their fathers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm born and raised in New Jersey. That's basically like being born in a fucking prison colony. I just finally earned my way out of this place.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for you, man. I hope Delaware's kind to you.
So far, it has been.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm not even living there yet, so gives me hope.
Well, you'll have more, like you said, more space and everything. That's one thing
Absolutely.
about. Well, you get out into the country of Jersey, and it's really pretty, actually. When you get into the more rural areas.
South tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, the southern areas, like once you get like Vineland and past that, it gets really open. It's like farmland. That's kind of one of the things that I do like about this state is that we have like the metropolitan area outside of Philly. That's like cool because you have all kinds of like food and shopping and shit like that. But you can go 20 minutes down White Horse Pike or Black Horse Pike and it's like farmland.
Yeah.
You get like the best of rural, suburban, and urban all in one place. But, you pay the highest fucking property taxes in the country for it.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, I never thought we would make California look better in any way. But yeah, we pay even more than California. It's ridiculous.
All right. Well, we're talking about Jersey, and that was a really cool part of your book. Is that a lot of it takes place in Jersey, and one of my favorite authors. I'm really into horror more than I am sci-fi, but I was really impressed with your book, and I must say, all right, so your book, and I don't know if you've ever read this guy, but the pacing was so page turning that there were every chapter was kind of like a cliff's edge. I was ready for the next, interaction that was going to take place. There was a lot of action that took place. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me of Edward Lee. I don't know if you're familiar with Edward Lee, but he's a horror, or was a horror author. He wrote like 20 or 30 books, and it reminded me a lot of his style of writing, his pacing, and I really enjoyed that. But Robert McCammon used to always write, because he was from Louisiana, and so he would always place his books in the South, and because he was real familiar with it. So I thought that was a really smart way to approach it, was to approach the area that you're familiar with and that you grew up in. And so what led you? Tell us the story behind Project Manticore.
Absolutely. Yeah, the pacing was inspired by Andrei Sapkowski. He's the author of the Witcher books, and I just recently finished the main series of the Witcher books. And he very much writes in that style, and I loved that. He doesn't dawdle, he doesn't linger on insignificant details. He describes things enough so that the reader can conjure the image, and then the action continues, the story continues. And I really wanted to translate that to my own book, because I was like, I liked reading that, so I should hope that other people would like reading that way as well.
Right.
And then, just like you said, I had it take place between Jersey and Philly, because this is the area I know. And I felt like I could make the characters realistic and representative of people you would encounter here.
Right.
And the the idea for this came from a dream I had in April of 2019, where I had an anxiety attack right before bed, which is kind of when that tends to happen. So I took a half of Xanax and went to sleep. And Xanax is apparently my muse, because I always have the most banging fucking dreams when I go to sleep on this stuff. So I woke up at like 4:15 in the morning, and I was like, damn, that dream was so awesome. I typed it into my phone, and I was like, man, that would make a great book. Somebody should write a book like that. That would be sweet. And then the months went by, and then it's like December 2019, and I'm like, all right, it's me. I'm the guy that needs to write it.
Yeah, you could figure out, like, you're waiting. You're like, why is nobody asking me about this dream so they can write a book about it?
Exactly.
Somebody has to take initiative in this situation.
Yep. So I slammed a couple back and started putting words on paper.
Yeah, well, and one of the best parts, and I have a friend of mine who wrote a trilogy called Gray Areas, and it's a interesting kind of mystery suspense trilogy that he wrote a few years back. He's a good author. His name's Brad Carl, and you had a lot of the same approach that he had in developing characters, which I find an interesting way to develop characters, and I like it a lot. Is you developed your characters through their dialogue. You knew who these people were by how they were talking to each other, like their personalities, and this, that, and the other. You didn't, like you said, you didn't dawdle, you didn't overly dramatize. You got directly to the point, but you made it very clear who each of these characters were through dialogue, and I really enjoy that aspect of your story, because it kept it moving very quickly, because you could hear these people talking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the characters in the books, each one of them has a little bit of me in them, but, some of them have my friends' personalities, or people that I've met, their personalities. They're all based on people that I have met and known for decades. So when I was writing the dialogue, I was like, how would they talk about this? How would we talk about this? How would we react to being in, a dangerous, coercive situation?
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that the dialogue wasn't like unnatural. You know, books tends to get like a little exposition-y with dialogue, and sometimes they don't sound human. They sound kind of robotic. You know, they're not going to be like, "Darn guys, we need to get off of this island." They're going to be like, "Dude, we need to get the fuck out of here." And I wanted to really convey that kind of that tone and that speaking style to every character in every situation.
Right. And people don't talk grammatically correct. And I think that's what a lot of
Exactly.
writers fail to realize or fail to take. It's like they spend too much time making the dialogue so grammatically correct. You're like, I would never speak like that. It's not how I talk. You know, like, as,
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate it when I run into books like that where it's like, this guy's not talking like a real human. Or even with podcasts, I listen to some podcasts and you can tell when they script the podcast because
Yeah.
it's like I know I write much clearer than I speak. When I speak, I stumble over
Mhm.
words. I have to think about exactly how I want to say things. When I'm reading something, it's like da 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 da. It's like you said, real
Mhm.
robotic. And so you can tell when somebody spends too much time worried about the grammar of the dialogue rather than the humanity of the dialogue.
Yeah, and that was a really big thing. Is like, you know, they wouldn't say like, "Oh, I'm going to go get a drink." They're like, "I'm gonna go get a drink," because
Right.
they're like, "Yo, I'm gonna go grab a drink," or "I'm gonna go have a smoke." You know, they talk quick. That's how we speak in this area. Where I'm at, we're basically a suburb of Philadelphia, so we have the whole like Delaware County, Philly, South Jersey thing going on. We all have this bastardized amalgamation that we call English, and yeah, we don't speak all prim and proper like that. So
Right.
I wanted to convey not only the human aspect of how they speak, but also the regional aspect.
Right. Yeah. And being from, the South, being from Louisiana and Texas, I had no issues, you know, with it. I thought it was very I could relate to these people. They weren't foreign to me. I was
Hmm.
it was very easy for me to relate to them. And so I found that interesting. Now I have met some guys being on the road. I've met some guys from Philly and they do have their own slang there. And I was surprised that none of
Oh
those
yeah,
words popped up.
yeah. I thought about slipping a John in there, but I was like, man, at this point we use it to the point where it's fucking satire. I'll be like, yeah, let me see that John, and it's like I normally would never use that slang, but I've heard it, and the rest of the country got wind of it, and they're like, what is a John? And it's like it's fucking anything. So I decided not to, but I'm hoping the just the overall tone and manner of speech kind of still conveyed that Philly style.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean I got it. I could hear the accent, but it was a stronger accent than you have. It was more Eric Sawyer's accent, if you know who he is. But but he's from Boston. I mean, but that's what I relate to the Northeast, so
Yeah, yeah.
but okay, so here was one thing I really enjoyed. And as a writer, I know this was your first attempt at a book, and it was, like I said, I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the pacing. Here's one thing I'm gonna warn you of. In probably three
Hmm.
years, in about 3 years, you're gonna want to revisit it. You're gonna read this book again, and you're gonna want to do some touch up on it, maybe extend it. My buddy John Paul Allen, who's an author, um, he gets into he's done this with some of his books, and they always come out really 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 good, really relevant, and he's able to expand them really well. So you're going to want to do that. But one thing I noticed when I came to the end of it is I was like, I want the action to keep going. When they at the very end, I was expecting more action. I'm not going to give any spoilers, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm sure you
Hmm.
can imagine what I'm talking about. But I was expecting uh, a greeting at the end there, and some more action to take place. And not that I was disappointed, but you did a great job of leaving me wanting more. and looking for a second book. Yeah, and to see these characters develop even more.
Yeah, that was kind of the intention. The epilogue was crafted uh, on purpose that way. And even how you mentioned earlier how the chapters end kind of like cliffhangery, where it's like, fuck, I want to keep reading. That was 100% intentional. I kind of wrote it almost as if it was like a mini series in my head, where
Right.
each chapter was like an episode. And I'm like, what do I want to happen? And what do I want to do to make the reader want to keep reading? And that was basically how I wrote it. There's times where it's there's flashbacks to previous events, but even they tie into what's happening currently. So you're like, oh fuck, and then you
Yeah.
want to read more to find out what happens next. So that was all meticulously crafted by my drunken mind.
Yeah, well, no, and it was good because there was that one chapter where you had all the all the letters back and forth between the guy and his wife, and I thought that was a really
Hmm.
nice touch. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the one story that she tells about her experience in North Korea is actually very closely based off of an actual event that someone described that was a defector from North Korea. And I actually kind of I hesitated to put it in there. I was like, man, I don't want to like do I really want to put like such a harrowing real experience in here? But then I was kind of like, yeah, I do, because I want the reader to know that these places are not models. They're not something to aspire to, and that
mm,
these kind of things happen all the time. And we don't hear anything about it because we don't hear anything from North Korea.
right,
The only time we do is when people defect and tell their stories on YouTube or what have you. And I happened to hear this one, and it was so heartbreaking that I ultimately was like, I want to include it, if anything, so that people become more cognizant that this kind of shit is happening. That
right,
governments, strangely enough, are evil.
yeah, yeah, all over the world. And I know you
Hmm.
you mentioned in the note to the reader section at the very end after the epilogue, where you're talking about you didn't want to overly you didn't want to bludgeon people with your ideology, and I think you did a great job of that. You touched some very important points on the ideology, but you did
Hmm.
so in a way that it's not like forcing it down people's throats, and it
Yeah,
gave the characters a dimension to their thinking that sometimes you don't see a lot of times, which I really appreciated. And you did a good job, and I think you did a fair job in debunking the ideology um, through the eyes of state actors as well, which I thought was really well constructed. It wasn't it wasn't overly like I'm just this evil bastard. It was like, no, there's actually a utilitarian argument to this.
absolutely. Yeah, like, yeah, because I first and foremost just wanted it to be a good book. Whether you're a libertarian or an anarchist or whatever you call yourself, even if you're a mainline statist, I want you to be able to read the book and just enjoy it for what it is: the story, the characters, the setting, all of that. So that was really my first goal. Obviously, I slipped the themes in for things that I feel passionate about,
Mm,
but instead of me just kind of writing it in there like freedom is better, blah, 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 I put the characters into situations that are representations of my ideals. And then, yeah, like you said, the one character who is kind of an antagonist, he, being a state actor, explains it from his point of view, because two of the characters in the book are self-proclaimed anarchists, and he shuts them down as um, conspiracy theorists and you know chaotic actors in their own right. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and listen to your propaganda because I've got bigger things. I'm doing this to for the greater good of my country. And you kind of get that dichotomy of the two, and then the other two primary characters are like, what are these fucking whack jobs talking about? And you kind of get to see them go from anarchy, what? And then later on they're like, shit, I kind of get what they're on about.
right. Yeah. Not like not complete conversion, but I do kind of understand your point of view here. It's I'm experiencing this, horrible experience, and I'm kind of starting to see your point of view. Like, oh, okay. But at the same time, you have, like you said, the antagonist comes in and he's like, look, man, I'm looking at the big picture here. Y'all are thinking of self-interest, you know, and so he kind of slams the door on them in that way, which I thought was an interesting exchange, and I liked it. I really appreciated that because I did think it was a fair assessment. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't like you're trying to draw the guy as pure evil in his thinking, in his thought process, despite, his actions. It kind of gives a gray area to his actions and the reason he's acting the way he's acting. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Because that character specifically, he tries to be so very stern and stoic, but through the dialogue and through some of the events that happen, you see him kind of break his own self-prescribed character, where like he lets himself get a little angry when he tries to be the professional. I'm doing this for my country. I'm doing this for my government, or what have you. And I thought that was it was a ton of fun to write. I honestly I loved writing his whole character.
yeah, yeah, he was very he had a lot of dimension to him, um, and it was just reading it, and that's what I always try whenever, like, I was telling talking to Beatrix, and I'm framing out a series that I want to, well, that I've kind of started drafting, but I haven't. It's definitely not anywhere near, discussing. Um, but one of the things I want to do is I want the protagonist to have like despicable qualities, like, something that, like, you're on their side, but not on that and not on that. And I want the antagonist to have some very appealing qualities. So I want to make it
I like
really,
that.
really human and really hard for you to differentiate in your own mind who you want to relate with.
Who's the real bad guy?
Right, right. So I'm really trying to make it like full, people, where you peeling back these layers of these individuals, and there's a lot of different things going on within their lives and within their minds. And so it makes it very difficult for you to choose a side. And so now you're not only reading and relating to the individuals, but you're also trying to figure out, like, who is this guy? Like, what is with this guy? And then I thought with that character, you were able to encompass that. That it's not just like this purely evil antagonist, that there's more to him than that. And though you didn't get into grave detail about that, like, you were able to witness that and kind of see and sense that from his interactions.
Yeah, I definitely want to explore these characters some more, and I don't know whether it's going to be like prequel, interquel. I don't know, but in my second book, which takes place in the same universe, but
Hmm.
this next book is taking place in a fictional town in Delaware, strangely enough, um, and it takes place during the 2008 housing market bubble, the
Okay.
recession,
Okay.
and that's going to play a role in things. But this one is, like I said, it's a little more horror, um, specifically like body horror and really bizarre, surreal things, which is great because I get to just play with words
Hmm.
to describe this crazy shit happening. But there are little nods to um, there's some nods to Manticore. There's some nods to characters from Manticore. So it's exciting. I'm kind of doing like a almost like a Stephen King kind of thing where it's like, you're reading one of Stephen King's books and it's just like, oh, they walked past a sign that said 20 miles to Derry, Maine, or whatever,
Right.
and it's like, oh, Derry, yeah, from his other books. So I'm kind of doing like that kind of stuff
Right.
because I love to put in little Easter eggs for people that choose to read more than one of the shit I write.
Right. Well, and you brought up the epilogue earlier, and kind of what I felt when I finished the epilogue, I was like, this is kind of going in a the Man in the High Castle direction, you know, and so I could kind of see that from the not the ow shit boogie sorry um fucking chewing on my hand, dude. I could kind of see that this kind of birth of like kind of a resistance movement or something like that being able to take place, and so I thought that was, you know, that left, like you said, it almost like a mini series, like that leaves a lot to explore and to move forward with.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea, was to just like plant the seed, because that was ultimately the goal of the events in the epilogue, was just planting the seed, getting the word out, as it were, and that's what it is. It's kind of like at the end of Watchmen, when they drop off Rorschach's journal. It's just like, get the news out there,
Right.
see what people think.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's really exciting, and you know, I could see this, like you said, going in all kinds of directions, and I think you could do a lot of things with these characters. So I think I'm interested in to see where that goes and how that develops. And
Yeah, I mean, so far I've been very lucky. I've gotten some pretty great feedback. People have been absolutely spectacular about just promoting it on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and it's really humbling, honestly. I wasn't expecting to sell maybe more than 10 or 20, and it's been doing pretty well for my expectations. If I sell 100 copies, I'll make back what it cost me to get the cover designed and ISBNs and all that stuff. I'll be happy with that.
well, that's good.
Anything beyond that is just wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I hope you sell much more than that. I think it's like I said. I think it's a very good introduction book for your first novel and all that. I really enjoyed it. I felt that it read really well. It was accessible. So other than a little bit of language, which I think was necessary, like you mentioned it, you're in a high stress environment, and so you're not going to
Hmm.
be all flowery and you know all shucks. This isn't Leave It to Beaver world. So
Yeah, because I actually, when I first started writing it, I actually rewrote a portion of, I think at the time, like the second or third chapter, because I was like, man, is it being too vulgar? But I was like, I rewrote it as a trial, and it sounded terrible. It
right.
sounded like a fucking episode of Veggie Tales, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick to what I know. I have been working with truck drivers for over a decade, so
Yeah.
I learned the language. I learned the language. Uh, between living in the state I've been living in for 30 years and for working with truck drivers for a decade, yeah, that's the language I speak.
Yeah, well, anybody who listens to my podcast is definitely not going to be offended by the language used in your book, because I don't ever hold back. I've been driving truck since I was 23 years old, and prior to that, I was in the oil field and in the army. So I
Oh
was
yeah.
yeah, I was in infantry too. So I just I don't even know how to hold back most of the time. Uh, it's like there's no other word than fuck for this fucking situation. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
what do you want me to tell you? but but I hope, man, I hope you get some sales here. I'll definitely link. I'll put a link, an Amazon link. Would you rather me link to your website or to the Amazon link?
You can link directly to the Amazon link.
Okay.
If you wanna put the website up there as well, you can.
It's
If
just
not, doesn't matter.
ryanbunting.com.
Yep, straightforward and easy.
Yeah, I'll make sure I'll put both. And
Awesome, thank you.
it'll be up on the Libertarian Institute. So hopefully you get some good views and get some sales going on. But
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope we've covered enough of that book, because I want to talk to you about some other stuff too. I hope we've covered enough of the book to
Yeah, absolutely.
get people interested in at least taking a look at it and putting it on their bookshelf. So
Yeah.
I'm ready for a couple of anarchists to solve the world's problems. So like, let's see what we can do here to make things worse.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Let's fix the world.
yeah, that's what we're all about, right? That's what we spend all our time thinking about. Um, I wrote an article and you shared it, and I've gotten some mixed reviews about it. And I want to talk. My whole point that I was trying to bring forward was the Rothbardian idea of a competitive free market solutions to the police problem,
Hmm.
and I've had a lot of conservatives reject that. So, what do you think is is a is a fair way for anarchists to kind of take this position of, yeah, what the left is saying about defunding the police and abolishing the police isn't completely um, insane, and how do we transform that idea into a way that conservatives can accept it?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because conservatives tend to gravitate towards they appeal to authority a lot.
Mm,
So they've been told that police have authority. They have been told in government schools to respect the law, not morality, but the law. And because of that, it's a really hard sell because when you say defund the police, they're like, "Oh, what? So we're just supposed to have nothing, no authority? It'll just be chaos." And it's a really hard one to tackle because yeah, like you try to explain privatized policing, privatized rights enforcement,
mm,
and they tend to reject it outright because they're like, well, there's no state authority to govern it. And then I try to explain to them how private courts would work, and they tend to reject that too. But then it's like we already have regional law. You know,
yeah,
the window tint laws in Philadelphia are different than the window tint laws in, say, like Alabama.
right.
You know, if you move anywhere in the continental U.S., you're going to have different law based on where you live. All I'm suggesting is that we break that down even further so that maybe each county has different laws. You know, maybe Burlington County in New Jersey doesn't really give a shit whether you wear a seatbelt or not, and maybe they don't see that as a crime, and maybe there's another county that does.
Mm,
That would be my thing. Is first and foremost, minimize the scope. Because I mean, even years ago, police used to be they lived where they worked, and it was usually a town or a city or a county,
right.
and like they knew people. So when they got a call, it was like, oh yeah, I'm heading over to Jimmy's house. What's happening? Oh, I don't know. Him and his wife are arguing, and police weren't back then at least raised and trained to act as if every situation is
Life or
someone
death.
trying to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, police officers nowadays are like pit bulls that have been beaten since birth. I mean, of course they're going to be angry and mean, and they're going to think every single person and thing is a threat because they're told that at a traffic stop for somebody blowing a stoplight, it's like they probably have a gun and they're going to kill you. So that's why they walk up with their hand on their pistol, and it's like, dude, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, and well,
The
and
war on
there's
police is ironically caused by themselves.
right, and there's just this idiocy about how people look at it, because you know, I keep seeing these. Well, if you haven't done anything wrong, then the police won't mess with you. I'm like, unfortunately, that's not how it goes. That's absolutely not how it goes. I
That's
remember,
thought crime.
yeah, I remember one time, man. I remember one time I 19. I think I was like 19 years old, and I'm driving through out of Rosenberg, heading towards Katy. So I'm on, and these are smaller areas around Houston. And a Rosenberg cop pulls me over for some bullshit, which I shouldn't even been pulled over for, but I won't even get into that. He pulls me over, and I tell him, "No, dude, this is fucking bullshit." And he goes, "Well, I need you to sign the ticket." I said, "I'm not going to sign the ticket." So he pulled his gun on me. And I'm like, "What the fuck? You're pulling me your gun because I won't sign a fucking piece of paper? Like, you're an idiot. You're an asshole." it's just fucking retarded. Like, why would you pull a gun because somebody refuses to take your pen and sign a piece of paper? No, that's ridiculous. That should be the last thing he thought of, was to go for his gun in that situation. And I was just like, whatever, dude.
Absolutely.
I was like, we'll just sit here then. I was like, are you gonna shoot me because I refuse to do something that like means nothing? And he's like, fine, just take it. And he threw the ticket at me. And I was like, all right, fine, bye. You know, like, it made no sense whatsoever. And I got it dismissed anyway. I called the court like the next week and got it dismissed. I was like, this is ridiculous. So it makes no sense that they approach such a situation, to where you're just like, no, I don't want to do that. And they approach it as
Yeah.
if you've just threatened their life.
Yeah, by what? Refusing to pay a $25 seatbelt ticket or some shit.
Yeah.
It's madness, and this is just, it's something that has happened over years. It especially kicked up with like the war on drugs and the legislation that allowed police to get military surplus. I was listening to, I believe it was the Biting the Bullet podcast, and those guys are all vets.
Yeah.
And they were saying, when you put on your fucking plate carrier, your helmet, and you're geared to the fucking teeth, you're in the mindset of somebody geared to the fucking teeth.
Yeah.
So, when these cops are doing these no-knock raids and they're geared to the teeth, they're in kill mode. They're not in ask questions. They're not in announce themselves mode. They are in fucking kill mode. So that's why you have your Duncan Lemps, your Breonna Taylors, because it puts you into a mindset.
Right.
So even with their blue uniform and their badge, it gives them this sense of superiority, that they are above the rest of the citizenry, and they're told that they're doing this for your own good, for their town's own good. I mean, you can be told something enough times until you start to believe it. That's why these guys, like my town, the most common crime is probably the local Walmart gets shoplifted or something.
Yeah.
But they're still told that it's like, you're out there, you're protecting the streets, you're risking your life. You are not risking your life in this barely diverse fucking suburb, dude. Believe me, you're gonna get a phone call about somebody's dog barking at fucking 11 o'clock at night. You're gonna get a call about, I don't know.
Shoot the dog. So.
Yeah.
At least
You're gonna get a call about somebody with like a fire pit that you don't know if they got the permits for. Like, really nothing life-threatening is happening around here with any kind of regularity. But they still have the mentality because they are told, they're basically groomed to be on the defensive at any given moment. And I don't think that's going to change.
Well, and I've told the story many times on the podcast, but I got in a conversation with a former cop. He was a retired officer. He had been a police officer for 30 years. And I'd gotten in a conversation with him on Facebook, and I was like, look, man, you're looking at it all wrong. I was like, you're treating citizens as combatants. And he kept referring, he always referred to any citizen that he interacted with as an insurgent. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're trained to believe that we're enemies. You're not a member of the same society as us. You're a ruler of the society, not a member of the society. And as long as you look at us as insurgents or enemy combatants or whatever you want to say, then yeah, the interactions you're gonna have are not gonna be pleasant. Because people don't want to be viewed that way. They don't want to be talked to that way. They don't want to be treated that way. And then you brought up the Biting the Bullet podcast, and I did hear that specific interaction. But the first thing I thought of when they were saying that was, well, why does the military, when they get all geared up and they're ready for combat, why are they more restrained than the police? See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Most of the military members that they're talking about getting all geared up and getting in this mindset are 18, 19, 20 years old.
They can be getting shot at, and they can't return fire until they have a clear direct order to.
Right.
A friend of mine was in OIF, and like him and his buddies were getting shot at, And they're like, can we return fire? And they're like, no. So
Yeah,
they were just sitting there getting shot at for like an extended period of time.
right. And my whole thing is these are kids. These are 17, 18, 19,
Oh,
20
yeah.
year old kids. And you're talking about a 35 or 40-year-old police officer doesn't have the wherewithal that a 18, 19 or 20-year-old kid has. Like I'm just like, this is ridiculous. And it's the way
Yeah.
that it's the way the job is framed for the officers. They're being taught that the civilians are insurgents. I mean, how often is it that lists come out of these, that state that fucking military or former military vets are now considered terrorists and this, that, and the other. And you're like, what is going on, man? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not even like a advent, supporter of the military, and it's not because of the soldiers. It's usually because of the policies. But I mean,
Hmm.
come on. You know, you can't just be treating everybody as if they are enemy combatant. Then suddenly you're going to end up with the same situation you had in the 60s where citizens are going to start really truly fighting back. Not just riots, but they're going to be really truly fighting back. You're going to have armed citizen patrols fighting against armed police officers, you know? And that's when things will really take a horrible turn. And the thought should be that we should be avoiding that at, all by all means necessary, not going home at night by all means necessary, which, as far as the police union in Minneapolis is concerned, that is the cop's first job, is to go home at night. So there's that.
Yep.
So I guess if you were taught to believe that your first job is to go home at night and that you're facing enemy combatants all day long, then I guess you'd be shooting people too.
Yeah. And I mean, you and I know this, and the anarchist community knows this, that the reason that police officers see people like that, not only because they're groomed like that, but because we are not their customers.
Yeah.
They are customers of the state. They are
Right.
customers of the ruling class, of the politicians. They enforce legislation. That legislation oftentimes is um, victimless actions. It's oftentimes arbitrary. Seatbelts.
Hmm.
Who gets harmed if you don't wear a seatbelt and you get into an accident? 9 times out of 10, you do. If your body flies out the window and damages someone's property, congratulations. You've now committed a crime that you're responsible for because your flinging corpse damaged somebody else's stuff. But robbing people at gunpoint, as you said in your anecdote earlier, where a guy literally pulled a gun on you, an officer pulled a gun on you for not signing the ticket. Tell me that this isn't about revenue and that this is about safety.
Right.
And that's where our problem resides, And the other thing is that you've probably heard this phrase 1,000 times. Police are historians. They show up after the crime has already been committed.
Yeah.
They very, very rarely, I would say almost never, prevent robberies, murders, rapes, etc. They show up after, they take a couple notes, they shrug their shoulders, well, we'll file a report and we'll see what we can do. What are you being taxed for? What service do they provide? You're taxed to pay for the police, who then rob you at gunpoint for not wearing a seatbelt or not using a turn signal, which none of them ever fucking do.
Right.
It's just, that's kind of where we're coming from, and it's hard to sell conservatives on that because I think they generally get this idea of, they kind of have like a widespread hero worship. The military and police they see as like absolute heroes just by their job title. But because of that, they ignore the obvious and clear atrocities that are committed under those same banners.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And, we can go through all the bullshit, like arguing few bad apples, this, that. Yeah. I get so
Hmm.
tired of looking at it. And I'm just like, what are you people even talking about? I just shared a article from the Free Thought Project yesterday that, dozens of cops have been arrested in the last week for raping children. And these conservatives that are supposedly all against pedophilia will say nothing about that. They won't even address it. But it's like, what I mean, has the police force turned into the Catholic Church? You know, like, is this just
We
running
had
through the
we had
vein?
two police officers here. We had two police officers here. It was a man and a woman police officer. They were trading child pornography between one another, and they were each um, filming it with children they abducted and were trading it back and forth.
Yeah,
And I'm fairly certain they both got put on paid administrative leave,
yeah, and
which is absurd to me.
and then you'll point out to a conservative, you know, something so absurd, and they're like, well, yeah, they're some of them are bad people. Okay, well then why do you worship all of them? It's like,
Yeah,
if some of them are bad people, why do you worship all of them? You know, like, why is it so hard for you to separate, the wheat from the chaff? If some of them actually want to
yeah,
be Andy Griffith, fine, you know. But I'm still waiting to see the cop that is going around his community unarmed, getting to meet all the business owners, all the people that are on the street, getting to know these people personally. You know, I'm still waiting on that
yeah.
guy to appear in 2020, because that's not what policing is anymore. You know, so we need to
It's
maybe.
it's revenue generation.
Well, right. And here's what I
That's
worry.
really what it comes down to is revenue.
Here's where I'm concerned with the left's point of view. Let's not just pick on conservatives here. Here's where I'm concerned about
Absolutely.
on the left's point of view. They say, well, defund means quit overfunding. It doesn't mean actually defund. It means move the revenue from buying them MRAPs and this, that, and the other, which I'm all for not buying them MRAPs. I get it. I'm
Agreed.
all against them having MRAPs and all this military equipment. I get it. But what they're saying is we're not going to get rid of them altogether. Now, this isn't all the left. Some of the left is like abolish completely. I get that. But some of the left is
Hmm.
like, we're not talking about defunding completely. We're talking about defund in this broad, modern day Orwellian doublespeak definition. And and so they draw out for you what defund actually means, which it's very similar. It almost seems like it's almost the exact same definition as racist, if you ask me. But whatever. Um, it's just got this really broad scope, and you're like, well, yeah, okay. So you're talking about organization that is used to getting so much revenue each year to perform these tactics, and this organization has the authority to extort and rob people at will. What makes you think they're going to extort and rob people less if you take their money from them? You know? So it's kind of like
Hmm.
this. It's kind of like you're not like seeing this through here. We're not on the same page at
Yeah,
all. You're not thinking about, okay, what are they going to do to make up for that revenue? How much more is asset forfeiture going to go up? How much more asset forfeiture are we going to see? How many more no-knock raids are we going to see if you don't actually outlaw no-knock raids in this city? How many more traffic stops are we going to see? You know, in 99, I drive,
yeah, and
I'm on the
that's
road all the time, and 99% of the time I'm on the road, I don't see a cop. Very rarely do I see a cop out on the road, even though they're keeping the road safe. So how many more police officers are we going to see on the road as compared to now? I'm sorry. Go ahead with what you were going to say.
no, yeah. I was just going to say, and that's the thing is that they can't see the forest for the trees. They lock in on this one thing, and it's like this isn't a funding problem. This is
Right.
a policing cultural problem.
Right.
You can take away their big toys and their big guns, but do you think that the people that the cops that murder people, that beat people, that fucking plant drugs on people, do you think that less money is going to stop those people?
Hmm.
No. Taking away their shit is not going to stop what is ultimately a cultural problem.
Right.
And again, this circles back to the fact that they are not our customers. We can't fire them if they don't do their job well.
Right.
They
Well,
are paid by us no matter what.
and the ones that
So,
get fired are the ones that expose them doing the wrong.
yeah,
You know,
yep,
there was that story a couple of weeks ago. This female cop, uh, she was a black woman, and she actually turned in her partner, who was a white guy, and for I think it was brutality. I could be wrong, but he had done something. I can't even remember exactly what it was. So she had filed a complaint. She got fired. It's like, okay, yeah, only a few bad apples. It's not the culture at all. You know, the culture's not
Exactly,
promoting this.
exactly.
And
The yeah the good cops are the ones that ultimately call out their fellow officers for corruption and excessive force and things like that, and those are the ones that get cut first.
hmm
Then you have the cops in the middle that may be decent people in general,
right,
but they don't report their fellow quote brothers and sisters for corruption, excessive force, stealing drugs from the evidence room and selling it on the streets. They don't report it because they're like, well, I got to protect my own. So it's like, at best, they are willfully ignorant of the things going around them, and at worst, they are willing participants. So where are the good cops?
right,
They're all fired,
yeah, or going to be fired, soon enough.
or soon to be fired.
Right. And so it's one of those things and that you're looking at and you're like, okay, so we got this guy in the Mount Vernon Police Department who's recorded a bunch of his fellow officers admitting to all these crimes, you know? And the DA like listened to he turned over the not the district attorney, the attorney general. He turned over the recordings to the attorney
Hmm.
general. The attorney general just like, well, all right. And so he leaked them to the media, you know? And so what's going to happen to this guy? He's getting pointed out by his chief of police as being a rat and this, that, and the other during these debriefings. So it's like, all right, so now this guy understands like, yay, you keep your mouth shut. If he's not going to get fired in the process, who knows what's going to end up happening to him, you know? But now
Yep.
he's in fear for his life, you know? And for what? Because he called out the bad actors that have admittedly, planted drugs and framed people for all these crimes. And, he's gonna be punished for doing the right thing.
Basically. And that's the thing. There is no culture of accountability. There's a
Right.
culture of deniability. Then that's why qualified immunity is such a huge deal. And that's like the one silver lining to this whole situation with George Floyd kind of bringing this to the limelight, is that a lot of people, both left and right, that I didn't think I would ever see talking about ending qualified immunity, are talking about ending qualified immunity. And it's like, we've been kind of we've been kind of worried about this for a while now,
Right.
but I'm glad to see it, finally getting a little bit of traction,
I heard
because
Matt Welch.
that's really step one.
I heard Matt Welch say the other day that he started writing about qualified immunity in 1971.
Jesus,
So this isn't new. This is something that's been around that libertarians in
absolutely,
general have been talking about.
yeah. And I mean, I'm relatively new to the liberty movement. I was politically ignorant for most of my life, and then in 2016, I kind of fell into. I was a minarchist libertarian for about 6 weeks, and then I just was full anarchist.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've kind of told my story a few times before, but I had always considered myself more of a conservatarian. I was like kind of a Glenn Beck fan there for
Yeah,
years, and I still listen to him every once in a while. I mean, I'm able to kind of weed through the bullshit now that I have more knowledge. But it was Andrew Napolitano's speech at the Mises Institute I had found on YouTube that it actually just converted me full anarchist. So there was a
yeah. It's amazing how that works.
yeah. It's like, hold on.
You
Yeah,
find that one video or that one like article, and you're like, oh shit, like the glass shatters behind you, and you're just like,
right.
oh my
Yeah.
god, I have been wrong for so long.
Yeah. Break that glass ceiling.
Mm.
Is that was that sexist? Am I not allowed to say that?
Well, I don't know.
Who knows? All right, so
I don't know.
let's see what else is going on. Okay, so Supreme Court turned down the refuses to look at qualified immunity cases. But we do have the legislation that Amash is introducing, and then Rand Paul
Hmm.
has introduced legislation that ends no-knock raids, and the Democrats are fighting against.
Again,
Yeah, well, the Democrats are fighting against him. They only
that's
want to end no-knock raids for drug offenses. They don't want to end no-knock raids altogether. So, and they're mad and they're pissed off that his legislation doesn't make lynching a federal crime, which I think is kind of a, you know, ridiculous.
well.
No,
Is murder not illegal?
right. Well, they want it to be a federal crime though. They want it all. If somebody's lynched, they want it to be taken up in federal court. But I mean, what the peak of lynching
But
was in
like
1890.
most things,
It's a
what's
big
the
problem.
definition of a lynching?
Right.
What's the definition of lynch? What's lynch versus murder versus kill? How do you do? What's the specific definition that they would use to separate that? And the answer is that there wouldn't be one. It would be a vague term that they would use to make federal criminals out of, just murderers.
Right.
Like killing people is bad.
Yeah. Or I mean,
We know that, but
well,
yeah,
okay,
there's
so
got
what
there's
if,
got to be something for them to fight against.
yeah, but what? All right, so if let's just say there's a domestic dispute between a white guy and his black girlfriend, right? And she punches him, and he grabs her by the neck. Now, is he a federal criminal for lynching? Like, is that considered lynching? I don't know. Like, what?
Yeah,
How are we going to define this?
It's just yeah, it's a slippery slope,
Yeah,
and I hate that shit.
yeah, but so like no, I just think it's weird too. Like I said, the peak of lynching was 1890. You know, like is this really an issue that we're seeing regularly? I mean, are more people getting shot or lynched nowadays? I don't understand why this suddenly has to be put on the books.
And
Really,
can a shooting be a lynching? It's like a rectangle and a square. A square can be a rectangle, but a rectangle can't be a square. Can you kill someone with a gun and have it not be a lynching? But you
I mean,
can also kill someone with a gun and have it be a lynching. Like there's too many what ifs, and that's why this legislation ultimately ends up going nowhere, because of dumb shit like this that they latch onto, and people blow it up into this whole thing, and it's like you're ignoring the fact that the bill is trying to end no-knock raids, which have claimed like at least 4 lives within the past like year.
right.
So you're worried because there's one specific thing that isn't in there that you want in there. How about you draft that up as a separate bill, but you focus on the one that's clearly a net benefit for, I hate to use the term society, but
Majority of
the best
people.
descriptor.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
net benefit for the majority of people. Like we can see how
Yeah.
these interactions affect individuals in their lives. So yeah, well, and also you got to. It's almost like they're trying to legislate virtue signaling.
Yeah.
That's what it really feels like. It's like the white liberals haven't pandered to the black community enough. We have to show them that we have to take care of them and that we can take care of them. And I watched that. I listened to an interview yesterday with Thaddeus Russell and Hotep Jesus, and they talk about the infantilization of the black community by liberals, and that's what it is. They treat them like
Oh
children.
yeah.
And it's like they're adults, man. They can take care of themselves. Like why don't we
They
let
have
them talk?
white savior complex.
Yes.
They have a white savior complex where they're like, oh, they need me as an ally to come in and save them.
Yes.
I can tell you right now, 99% of the people that are out there with their fucking black square profile pictures and they're sharing all these articles and memes and statistics and all that shit, an overwhelming majority of these people, many of whom, like many of my personal friends that are sharing this shit, I know that they are literally using the black community as a token, as a means of salvation from their own white guilt.
Right.
And like that to me is just, it's pathetic.
Yes, I
Like-
love that meme you made. I guess that you made earlier about the Aunt Jemima scandal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see who you really are.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I told you I'd tell you the story. I'll say it. I'll do it on the podcast because it's funny. I was in Atlanta, and I was picked up a load from our a terminal in Atlanta, and I had to drop in the industrial area, and it was a I had very little time left. I had just rolled in from I think I just rolled in from North Carolina or whatever, but it's not important. Um, I I go and I drop the load, and by the time I'm done, I only have like 30 minutes left on my clock. And this was before they
Mm-hmm.
added the personal drive time. So they didn't have the personal drive time that you could do when you were empty. So I'd seen this small truck stop when I was coming in to this industrial area, and this was a really kind of thuggish part of Atlanta to say the least. Like there was all kinds of cops
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, and people hanging out on the street corners. It was pretty shady, and I was like, whatever, man, I don't care. I lived in Houston for years. I'm kind of like, it's cool. I'll be all right. So I go into the truck
Mm-hmm.
stop, and there's this dude hanging out there next to the little slot machines. They got the little quarter slot machines that you play like games on and shit. And so he's sitting next to those,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, "Hey man." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, and I'm tired as hell right by this point, right? I'd have been driving for like 13 hours this day. He goes, "Hey man, you cool?" I was like, "What the fuck you mean?" He goes, "You know what I mean." I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, "No, man, I'm good, man. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm just tired, dude. I've had a long, long day." And he was like, "All right, man, you be easy." I was like, "All right, that's cool, right?" So I go sit outside. I go get in my truck. Uh, you know, eat whatever snack, like chips or whatever I got, and then I lay down. About 30 minutes after I lay down, just as I'm falling asleep good, man, I hear the banging on my truck door. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I go and I look out. There's this like white chick out there. I'm like, yeah, what's up? She goes, you want a blowjob, honey? I'm like, no, man. I'm just trying to go to sleep. She's like, I'll put you to sleep. I'm like, no, I'm good. I promise. I'm cool, man. And she's like, all right. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I lay back down. 30 minutes later, I get another knock on my door. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I look out my curtain. Another chick it was a young black girl too. And she was really pretty actually. And I was like, what's up? And she goes, You you want to have a good time? I'm like, man, the only thing I want is to go to sleep. Could y'all please just let me be? And and then I look and you could see like there's the fuel island, and I'm parked next to the fuel island near the dumpster, and up next to the fuel island on the other side, there's a hill. And I look up there, and there's about 7 girls sitting up under this tree, right? I'm like, oh Jesus, am I gonna have to do this all fucking night? I'm like, all right,
Oh
whatever. I was like,
man,
I was
night
like,
of the living lot lizards, man.
yeah, no shit, man. But this wasn't even a lot. They only had like 2 parking spaces. This wasn't even a lot, dude.
Hmm.
This was just like this field next to this truck stop that these girls are hanging out in. It was like they came out of the trees. And I'm like, all right, whatever, man. So I go lay back down, and I get another knock on the door. And I'm like, fuck. And I look out, and there's this old, heavy set black woman that that's wearing this she's wearing a polo shirt, a blue polo shirt. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe she works at the truck stop. So I roll down the window. I'm like, yes, ma'am, can I help you? Thinking that because of where I'm parked, because I'm near the dumpster, maybe she wants me to move or whatever. And she goes, yeah, baby, you want me to suck that dick? And I'm like, look here, Aunt Jemima, I'm trying to go to fucking bed. You need to go home and see if your grandkids want a lollipop or something. Just leave me the fuck alone. she, she was like, fuck you, nigga, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my
And
god.
so she's screaming at the top of her lungs. And I'm like, man, this is not going to end well. And I'm like, fuck it. I just rolled up my window. She's still out there yelling. I close my curtain. I go lay back down. I'm like, fuck this bitch, man. I'm just going to sleep. About 5 minutes later, whack, 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 motherfucker. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And I open my window, and it's that dude from inside the store. He goes, motherfucker, why you talking to my hoes like that? I said, look, brother, I told you. I drove 13 fucking hours today. I'm fucking tired. I got to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning to get on the fucking road. And these goddamn bitches will not leave me the fuck alone. He goes, All right, nigga, I tell you what, you got a square? I was like, dude, I'll give you a fucking. I had a carton of cigarettes in my truck. I said, oh, dude, I'll give you a whole pack if these bitches leave me alone. He goes, don't worry, you ain't gonna have no more problems out of these hoes. Hey, he turns around, he goes, what I tell you about messing with this motherfucker? I threw that
Oh,
motherfucker.
Jesus.
I threw that motherfucker a pack of cigarettes. Ain't no lie. Ain't no lie. I wake up at 1:30 in the fucking morning, and this motherfucker's getting loaded up into the back of a cop car. All his girls with him.
Oh, my
I'm like,
God.
oh shit. But I tell you what, I went and slept at that truck stop several other times over the next couple of years. That motherfucker remembered me, and ain't no bitch ever fucked with my truck again.
Oh, God, that is amazing.
It was funny as fuck, man.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, but that, yeah, you see some shit out on the road. I remember one time I'm at the Flying J in fucking Dallas, and you see this chick, this lot lizard jumping this truck, right? And across the street there's this church. They left the Flying J and went and parked at that church parking lot. About 5 minutes later, you see cops roll up on that truck, and they roll up on the driver's side, and this chick jumps out the passenger side. And as the cops are banging on the side of the driver's side, she's made her way down the side of the trailer, and she's peeking around that trailer. And as soon as that driver opens the truck door, you see the cop talking to him, and I guess he's like, "Can I look inside your truck?" And so the driver like lets him get up to look inside his truck. And as that cop's getting up there to look inside this truck, this chick takes off across the damn parking lot behind the church, is hiding behind a tree. The cop had no idea where that chick went. He was looking for her though. He wanted
Oh,
to
my
put her
God.
away. I was laughing. I was like, look at this bitch.
Yeah, the transportation industry, man, you see some shit.
She had her high heels in her hand running barefoot across that gravel church parking lot. I was laughing. I was like, she wants to get away. Her feet are going to hurt tomorrow.
Oh,
She's
my
getting
God.
away tonight. Yeah, you see some shit out here, man. It's funny, but. All right, man. Well, we've been going for a while, and I kind of hijacked part of your interview. Anything you want to plug?
No, listen, I have had an absolute blast. Absolute blast.
Well, we'll do it again, especially once you get that next one out.
Certainly.
All right. So, yeah, plug away, man. Anything you got?
Yeah, look, my book just came out. You can find it in the show notes for this podcast episode, but you can also find me at just ryanbunting.com. I'm also doing some graphic design work, so if you have a podcast, a Twitch stream, or stuff like that, those are kind of my specialties. Reach out. You can find at my website, there's a graphic design tab. You can email me for a quote. Let's get talking and, work with you, and we'll get some killer artwork done.
Yeah, you did Pete's artwork, didn't you? His newest one?
Yeah, I did Pete's podcast logo for Free Man Beyond the Wall. And I have some other stuff in the pipeline that I can't necessarily talk about just yet, but should be exciting.
That's all right, man. That's good. And your wife did the editing for your book?
Yeah. She reads a shitload more than I do, so she understands like the rules of literature. Fiction, commas after somebody speaks, like dumb stuff. So she reads a ton. So I was like, "Do you want to be the editor?" She was like, "Absolutely."
Yeah. So is that something she's looking at doing, pursuing further?
Yes. She's actually looking to do. She's looking to do like editing for like articles, essays, other books, stuff like that. So.
Okay. Well, I might get in touch with you about that.
I think she's in the planning phase. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's in the planning phases of looking for where she's going to set up, whether a website or a Facebook page and all that shit. And
awesome.
Once that's out, I'll make an announcement and take it from there.
But yeah, for sure. But
thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But anybody needs editing done, we got somebody trying to get off the ground. So let's see if we can get in touch with Ryan if until his wife gets everything situated, and whatever she can take on, we'll try to help her grow her business as best we can.
Absolutely.
All right, just hang on 1 second, man. I want to talk to you for 1 second afterwards.
Sure thing.
All right, man. Well, that was Ryan Bunting. Check out his book, Project Manticore. I will make sure I put the links in the show notes, which I'm really bad about doing. I got to remember to do that. I'll make myself a note to remember to note. And I'm Tommy Salmons. Late.